Why are you so terrified of a completely quiet room? Look at the people around you. They are drowning in noise. They scroll mindlessly through curated feeds and they cling desperately to chaotic social circles. Why? Because silence strips away their armor. Silence forces a person to stare directly into the raw, unedited architecture of their own mind. No script, no crowd to perform for, no escape. And for the ordinary individual, that internal confrontation is utterly paralyzing. Niccolo Machiavelli recognized this fundamental human vulnerability centuries ago. He observed that the vast majority of mankind is helplessly governed by internal forces they don't even have the courage to name. Arrogance blinds their judgment. Panic cripples their execution. Unchecked desires turn them into predictable targets for exploitation. Because the average person refuses to audit their own mind honestly, they essentially hand over the steering wheel of their destiny to anyone clever enough to read them. But a select few operate on an entirely different psychological plane. If you secretly execute these 6 psychological protocols when no one is watching, your brain is already operating on a level that terrifies the weak. Before we unlock the first protocol, drop this declaration in the comment section below to signal your alignment with this channel. My mind stays sharp. Let's dismantle the illusion. Protocol 1. The crucible of self-deconstruction. Let's be entirely transparent. Human beings do not naturally seek objective reality. They crawl toward confirmation bias. They look for voices that validate their ego and shield them from the horror of being wrong. The moment an ordinary person links their identity to a specific narrative, honest examination dies. They will defend an absolute lie with emotional ferocity, even when unshakable data is tearing their argument apart. Pride takes the wheel, and logic goes off a cliff. This is the exact boundary line separating average thinkers from dangerous, Machiavellian strategists. Average minds desperately defend their beliefs. Exceptional minds mercilessly stress test them. A highly sovereign individual can sit in a pitch-black room and ask themselves the single question that makes ordinary people panic. What if my entire perspective is completely flawed? It sounds deceptively straightforward, but psychologically, it is the equivalent of a controlled demolition of your own ego. It creates immediate internal friction. It temporarily shakes your confidence. It drags your mind into an unstable gray area where comfortable answers are nowhere to be found. The masses flee from this feeling. They would rather live in comfortable ignorance than endure the psychological labor required to achieve functional precision. But a true student of Niccolo Machiavelli willingly walks straight into that fire. Why? Because they know a corrupted belief is a quiet death sentence for your ambitions. If your reading of human nature is flawed, you will invest your trust in a traitor. If your assessment of your own capability is delusional, you will repeat the exact same catastrophic failures until you are bankrupt. When you develop an addiction to comforting illusions, you practically write a user manual for manipulators to control you. Therefore, dangerous intellects systematically break down their own thinking behind closed doors. Not to look intellectual, but to ensure their weapon is perfectly calibrated. They replay past interactions like a security tape, ruthlessly cross-examining themselves. Did I miscalculate that power dynamic? Was my response driven by logic, or did my emotions hijack my intellect? Am I holding on to this stance because it's an undeniable truth, or because my pride is too fragile to back down? Niccolo Machiavelli consistently emphasized that historical figures destroyed themselves the very second emotion overrode their clinical judgment. Arrogance makes you rigid. Obsession distorts your trajectory. Fear warps your view of reality. Instead of navigating the terrain as it actually exists, People navigate a fantasy land created by their feelings. And that is precisely when you become a pawn in someone else's game. Manipulators realize a fundamental law of human nature. The crowd will always choose a flattering lie over an agonizing reality. Offer them an illusion, and they will crown you king. Show them the cold truth, and they will crucify you. However, when you actively dismantle your own biases in private, you become virtually immune to external deception. You lose the desperate need to always appear correct. You prioritize accuracy over temporary ego validation. The moment new data emerges, you fluidly recalibrate your strategy instead of digging your heels into a sinking ship. That level of psychological agility is exceptionally rare. Most people would rather burn down their entire life than quietly utter the words, "I was mistaken." They treat an error like a terminal humiliation instead of an essential data upgrade. But a calculated mind recognizes that self-correction is the ultimate form of leverage. Every time you assassinate a delusion inside your mind, your vision clears. Every time you look at a brutal truth without flinching, your domain expands. Leave the comments section for the masses to fight over who is right. Drop this affirmation below to claim your alignment with reality. Truth over ego. Protocol 2. The anatomy of emotional discipline. Imagine this scenario. Someone subtly insults your capability in front of your peers. Instantly, a chemical wave crashes through your nervous system. Your thoughts turn hostile. Your pulse quickens. You play the interaction over and over in your head, crafting the perfect, devastating comeback you wish you'd delivered in the moment. In less than 3 seconds, an external stimulus has completely hijacked your internal state. The average person spends their entire existence trapped in this reactive cycle. They don't manage their emotions, they blindly obey them. Irritation immediately mutates into a reckless confrontation. Vulnerability transforms into desperate attention-seeking. They never pause to ask why that specific hook managed to catch their jaw in the first place. A Machiavellian mind operates with a chilling layer of psychological insulation. When an external strike lands, they don't react outward, they look inward. They study the ripple effects of the attack inside their own psyche. Instead of blowing up, they sit in absolute silence and run a clinical diagnostic check. Why did that specific phrase trigger an internal response? What unhealed insecurity did that individual just expose? Where am I structurally weak? Your emotional triggers are a direct map of your vulnerabilities. Envy points directly to your unfulfilled ambitions. Anger highlights where your pride feels unprotected. A desperate need to connect reveals a deep-seated terror of isolation. The masses exhaust themselves trying to mask these fractures. The calculated individual maps them out so they can reinforce the defensive walls. Niccolo Machiavelli understood a core truth about conflict. The individual who loses their temper has already lost the war. A stoic, observant player can sit completely unmoved while their emotional adversaries unravel and reveal their entire playbook for free. The second your emotions dictate your behavior, your moves become 100% predictable. If an opportunist realizes you are insecure, they will manipulate you with cheap praise. If they realize you are easily angered, they will deliberately provoke you into making a catastrophic public error. If they see you are fearful, they will apply pressure until you fold. Reactive people are effectively remote-controlled by their environment. Their internal empire is completely defenseless because the gates are dictated by external noise. The implementation of a tactical pause is an immense psychological weapon. In that microscopic window between an attack and your response, you sever the link between raw feeling and executive decision-making. Feelings are volatile, fleeting metrics, Actions carve permanent scars into reality. When ordinary people expect you to explode, you remain unbothered. When they expect you to crumble under immense professional stress, your cadence stays perfectly steady. You don't give them the satisfaction of a visible reaction, leaving them to suffocate under the weight of their own confusion. While the reactive crowd is busy speaking too quickly, leaking critical information, and making impulsive choices they will spend years regretting, you are quietly mapping the boardroom. An emotion is simply a data stream. It is not an executive order. Just because a situation triggers anger does not mean an angry outburst is strategically viable. This is why dangerous minds actively audit their emotional algorithms in absolute isolation. They know exactly which keys an adversary will try to press, and they rewrite the code so that pressing those keys yields absolutely no result. They don't blame the world for throwing provocations at them. They take radical ownership over the internal fortress that processes them. To solidify your commitment to unshakable self-command, drop this affirmation below: calm mind wins. Protocol 3. The deconstruction of history. Ordinary people experience pain once, and then they spend the rest of their lives running away from it. They try to drown the memory in cheap distractions, mask the trauma with superficial positivity, and pretend the betrayal never occurred. They wrap their wounds in blankets of denial, hoping that time will magically heal what they refuse to inspect. A Machiavellian mind does not run. They do not hide. They deliberately descend back into the trenches of their past failures, old betrayals, and public humiliations to conduct a cold clinical autopsy on the wreckage. To an outside observer, this looks like obsessive overthinking or an unhealthy fixation on the past. In reality, it is a sophisticated pattern recognition exercise. A highly perceptive individual can review a betrayal that happened 5 years ago and suddenly spot the precise behavioral anomalies they were too naive to see in the past. They recognize the micro-expression of contempt disguised as a laugh. They identify the sudden shift in cooperation the moment a project's budget was secured. They trace the red flags they actively chose to ignore because their emotions were clouding their intellect at the time. That sudden realization rewires their psychological defense system forever. Comfort teaches you absolutely nothing, it merely pacifies you. Pain is the only force capable of stripping away your strategic blindness. Machiavelli noted that a person's true nature is never revealed during times of peace and abundance. It is exposed when the stakes are lethal, pressure is mounting, and resources are scarce. Loyalty shifts instantly the moment a more profitable alliance presents itself. Generosity morphs into resentment when the power dynamic balances out. The average person processes these occurrences with emotional heartbreak and victimhood. The strategic mind processes them as valuable behavioral data. They ask the hard questions that hurt the ego but save the future. What specific vulnerability made me susceptible to that manipulation? What blind spot did I let remain open out of laziness? How did my desperation for a specific outcome corrupt my situational awareness? Pain doesn't just change your mood, it fundamentally alters your vision. Once you have seen the underlying mechanics of deception, you can never look at an innocent face the same way again. You stop paying attention to elegant words and start monitoring structural patterns. You notice the tiny discrepancies between what people say and how they move when they think no one is watching. You become completely unreadable. And, to the world, an unreadable person is far too dangerous to cross. Protocol 4. The silent re-engineering of ambition. The world is full of loud dreamers. Walk into any room and you will find people eagerly broadcasting their plans, announcing their upcoming ventures and flashing their goals like badges of honor. They mistake the dopamine hit of talking about success for the actual execution of it. They want the applause before they've even stepped onto the battlefield. Niccolo Machiavelli warned against this foolish transparency. In his writings, he made it clear that revealing your intentions prematurely allows your competitors to build walls before you've even dug the first trench. It invites envy, provokes counter-strategies, and destroys your ultimate leverage, the element of surprise. Dangerous minds perform their grandest structural updates in total obscurity. When a Machiavellian strategist decides to pivot their career, acquire massive new skill, or enter a fiercely competitive market, they don't change their social media bio. They don't inform their friends over dinner. They don't hint at their next move to gain temporary status. Instead, they maintain the exact same public profile while quietly re-engineering their capabilities behind the scenes. They build an entirely separate reality in the dark. While the crowd thinks they know exactly what your limits are, you are secretly expanding your boundaries miles beyond their expectations. You study the documentation, you acquire the asset, and you secure the alliances without making a single sound. By the time your true strategy surfaces, it doesn't arrive as a proposal or a boast, it arrives as an unalterable reality. The masses are caught completely off guard because they were watching the illusion you maintained, while completely missing the silent architecture you were building in the dark. You don't win by arguing or convincing. You win by making your victory completely inevitable before the battle even starts. If you understand the power of moving without a sound, leave this code in the comments. In silence, I build. Protocol 5. The audit of toxic sympathy. We are socialized to believe that sympathy is an absolute virtue. We are taught to open our doors to anyone who claims to be hurting, to carry the burdens of the weak, and to offer endless chances to those who repeatedly fail. But Niccolo Machiavelli offered a much harsher, realistic perspective. He noted that many individuals use their apparent weakness or constant victimhood as a covert strategy to drain resources, avoid accountability, and pull down high-performing entities into their own chaotic orbits. Behind closed doors, exceptional minds conduct a cold, mathematical audit of their social investments. They look at the people in their life not through the lens of sentimentality, but through the lens of alignment and trajectory. They ask the brutal questions: is this relationship built on mutual growth? Or am I being used as an emotional anchor? Does this person respect my boundaries, or do they constantly manufacture crises to consume my focus? Am I keeping this individual around out of genuine loyalty, or out of a fragile guilt that I am outgrowing them? This is not about becoming cruel. It is about protecting your mental territory. A sinking ship cannot rescue another sinking ship. If you allow toxic, uncalibrated minds to occupy prime real estate in your inner circle, their chaos will eventually corrupt your execution. Their pessimism will cloud your vision, and their insecurity will hold back your speed. Machiavellian psychology requires you to ruthlessly curate your environment. In solitude, you decide who gets access to your energy and who gets permanently left outside the gates. You don't need to hold a dramatic confrontation or issue a grand explanation. You simply execute a quiet, systematic withdrawal. You become less available, your responses become shorter, and your focus shifts entirely back to your own domain. Let them call you distant. Let them invent stories about your coldness. Your sole responsibility is to protect the integrity of your mental kingdom. Before we leave, if this strategic breakdown has upgraded your internal architecture today, ensure you anchor these insights right now. Strike the like button, subscribe to the channel, and join our inner circle of psychological architects. Before you close this window, leave your final thoughts below. Which of these protocols challenged your current way of thinking the most? Stay observant. Stay calculated. Move in absolute silence. Until next time.